Hey, what's happening? What's popping, everybody? Today, this is pretty exciting because I have a couple updates here. So, first and foremost, I'm going to be going over the CPC updates. We're in the semifinals, and we have this game versus Togavor, a very good opponent that we've already faced 2 times. We got to face him a third time, so this is going to be very difficult. And even after that, even if I were to beat Togavor, I will be in the finals, but then I have the potential to face somebody like Gypsy King or Matty Brawlick or Paul, who's a very good opponent, or even Abe. So these next 2 games are going to be very difficult if I do make it to the next 2 games, as that'll be very fun. I'm not going to be doing over a team builder here, but I will be going over the team real quick. But another thing is I will be also actually uploading weekly here pretty soon because I am a majors coach in the MPL, so that's going to be really cool. I'm going to be facing even I'm going to be facing a lot of the same guys as I did in the CPC, but now I guess we're going to be trying a little bit more hard. And the MPL obviously is a very, very good league, so that's going to be fun. But let's get into it. The team builder here, right? So pretty much my team is I have an Akaberry on Jirachi. He had a Talonflame and a Crocodile. Those were other potential brings. But the Akaberry was obviously for Flare Blitz on the Talonflame. But yeah, it's a good like baited Brave switching, I guess, for Jirachi. So I'm pretty much max HP, a lot of speed, and a little bit of defense on Jirachi, which protects Psychic and Toxic. As you see, this puts in a ton of work. He has nothing that really takes advantage of Jirachi other than maybe like the Blastoise that I can kind of whittle down with Toxic. And if he doesn't have Dark Pulse and he doesn't burn me, I can actually 1v1 the Mega Blastoise. But Jirachi is pretty much the guy this game that I decided to build the team around. Next we have a Stealth Rocks Landorus, typical defensive set, but I do have leftovers. I easily could have brought Yachi Berry, which could have dealt with Ice Punch Hariyama, Ice Punch Lucario, HB Ice, Zapdos, potentially Ice Beam on Blastoise, but I decided that I wanted leftovers because I am pretty bulky and I can take like the ice moves. I can take 1 ice moves from these guys and pretty much do a ton of damage back. So Stealth Rocks, Earthquake, Stone Edge, and Hammer Arm. I decided to go with Hammer Arm. 1, Air Balloon Lucario. 2 is he had a Crocodile in the back, and 1 game he brought a bulk up Crocodile, and I prefer to have Hammer Arm over Superpower just in case I have to I don't want to be lowering my defensives versus like a bulk up Crocodile if you were to bring that. Next we bring an interesting set, right? So this isn't my best Dragalge set, but I want to have a little fun in this game. It's my only fun set really. Everything else is kind of standardish, but yeah, so I decided I want to bring a Scarf Dragalge, as it's got a couple cool like techs, I guess, being that it can outspeed pretty much his entire team. I can switch into a Scald from a Mega Blastoise, and then I can just, you know, fire off a Sludge Wave or a Draco, and maybe pick him off if he's at half or something like that. I outspeed the Hariyama because he's probably gonna have a lot of speed on the Hariyama for like something like maybe the Azumarill, as I don't have any speed on my Azumarill just because I want to have a lot of bulk for things like I can take a hit from Lucario, I can take a hit from Blastoise and Uxie and stuff like that. And I decided, and also Talonflame, I decided to not even play like mind games with the speed tiers with Hariyama. But yeah, Scarf Dragalge's biggest like tech is it actually outspeeds Lucario by a little bit. And that's going to be very important because it OHKOs it with a Focus Blast. And Draco still does a ton of damage, as yeah, it's just Lucario. It's not that bulky. It's very strong, powerful, but it's not bulky by any means. So next we have Waterfall, Aqua Jet, Playrough, Facade, Bandit, Azumarill. This is something that I brought versus him all 3 games now, but it's just so good versus him. It's a potential win con late game with Aqua Jet, and Facade helps me versus like something like a Scald Mega Blastoise, and I think it's just very good versus him. And you know, he doesn't have a play rough switch in, because if he does want to switch in something like the Scolpede that still takes a ton of damage, I don't have to worry as much about getting swept by this thing, as you know, getting play rough damage means that he's not going to you know, be able to sword stance freely anymore, because he's going to be heavily damaged. So next we have the Licky Licky. Mega Blastoise could be running like a wide variety of like coverage moves. It can obviously carry Scald, probably Rapid Spin, maybe not, because he could have Defogs at Zapdos, but he could run, you know, Dark Pulls for things like the Mismagius and the Drachi. He could have things like the you know, HP Electric for Azumarill. He could have Ice Beam or Dragon Pulse for the means of Dragalge, and I don't really expect him to have Aura Sphere on the on this, especially because he does have these two fighting types that do pressure Licky Licky, and the set, it's a pretty interesting set. It's, you know, Wish Protect Toxic, nothing too standard, but I decided to go Facade on this thing because it is my main switch into Blastoise. I'm probably going to get Scald eventually, and Facade just kind of does a lot of work for this team. And last but not least, I have a Cobra Berry on the Mismagius. Cobra Berry helps me versus a potential Crocodile, which he did not bring, but it also helps me versus Dark Pulse. On the Mega Blastoise, then I have Nasty Plot, Shadow Ball, Energy Ball, and Taunt? Yeah, something like that, yeah. So, pretty offensive, and that also kind of smacks his team too, because he does not have a Ghost Resist. So we're going to go into it. I'm just going to lead off with Jirachi because it's a very good lead matchup versus the majority of his Mons, as he just goes out into his Uxie to get up his rocks, as I get off a Toxic on that, so that's going to be really good. Just in case he was Trick, I went out into Landers. Also, I can get up my rocks as well. I can easily get up my rocks versus the Uxie because it does not do anything to me. So he's going to go out into his Mega Blastoise, obviously to spin and to force me out, as I'm just going to go out into my Licky Licky, and he goes for a Scald first because he want to see, you know, probably scout to see what my initial switch in is, as yeah, so I decided, you know what, I'm just going to fire off a Wish as he spins, goes back out into the Uxie to see if I have like something like a T-Wave or something to hit one of his fighting types. So now he's gonna get a free U-turn off here, and I just go for Toxic or Protect to stall a couple Toxic turns on him. So he goes free switch to Hariyama, as that's fine. I'm just gonna go out into my Mismagius here, only because the thing is like Hariyama does a ton of damage versus me, and it can potentially late game sweep if he speed passes into Scolpede speed passes in Hariyama, and I want to get rid of Hariyama as soon as possible. It pressures like my whole entire team. Like 2 KOs, close combat 2 KOs my Jirachi, Ice Punches at Landorus, Ice Punch Dragalge, Poison Jab the Azumarill, close combat the Licky Licky. So I decided, you know what, I'm just gonna try to trade these off 1 for 1, and I can pretty much deal with it for the most part. So he goes for Ice Punch, as I get up a Nasty Plot, and hopefully I can get a 2 KO on this Hariyama. I think, yeah, he's Assault Vest, so unfortunately I can't get the 2 KO, but I do severely damage it to the point where everything pretty much revenges Hariyama, so that's really good for me. As now I'm just going to go out into the Jirachi, and pretty much a free Psychic here as he goes out into the Zapdos here, showing that he's pretty bulky. And he also shows right here, I have like enough speed on my Jirachi to outspeed Lucario, and because his Zapdos outsped my Jirachi, that means he's running probably enough speed to outspeed max speed Landers here. And yeah, so I just fire off a Wish because he can't really touch me, and I'm just gonna keep, you know, firing off Psychic Wish and start punishing down his Zapdos. So Zapdos starting to get weakened, and he's just trying to fire off Volt Switches because he doesn't have a very good answer to my Jirachi here. So once again, I'm just gonna Protect, get rid of a get a Toxic turn on him, as now I'm just gonna fire off a Wish is he gets now a free switch into his Mega Blastoise that obviously is going to have a Dark Pulse to punish the Jirachi. But once again, I'm just going to wish up my Jirachi, go out into my Licky, which I made sure that my Licky was always healthy for this Blastoise. I can live a Scald, I can live the Toxic, or I can live the... I made sure to EV this Licky to take a Scald Burn plus Rocks and pretty much recover on this thing all day. So he goes for a Dark Pulse. Obviously I was going to go for a Wish. But even if I went for a Facade there, I went for Wish, but anyways, yeah. So if I went for Wish, I can always make the Licky a solid Blastoise. So obviously he went for a Dark Pulse here. So he was just trying to get the flinch. And unfortunately, he gets a flinch. So now I don't have a good check to Mega Blastoise anymore because he did get the Dark Pulse flinch. So pretty unfortunate there, as that does hurt a lot. But I decided to go out into my Azumarill. He fires off a HP Electric for two reasons. One, if I'm banded, he can take a hit and get pretty good damage off onto my Azumarill. But more importantly, if I was Belly Drum, he makes sure that I can't. Well, he just gets important chip damage off on me. But yeah, I am banded. I just go for a Play Rough. I'm just gonna keep firing Play Roughs because I have no reason not to. As he stacks his Harem out, which is really good for me. And so now he threatens me out. I could go out into the Landorus, expecting him to go for a Volt Switch and threaten it with a Stone Edge, but I decided, you know what, that's kind of a risky play. Landorus still has some utility because I am still at max HP. I can still kind of threaten out his Landorus and Scolipede to an extent. So he Volt Switches out into his Uxie to get the Volt Switch U-turn shenanigans going on. So I just go out into my Landorus here just to get up my rocks to pressure his two rock weak mons mostly, as he goes for an Ice Punch. That does a lot of damage. So not wanting to take another Ice Punch, I'm just going to go out into my Azumarill as he goes for a U-turn just to get momentum. So pretty good play by Toad as he goes out into his Zapdos, either going for a Roost or another Volt Switch, and I decided to once again make the Dragalge switch. Actually no, I go into my Jirachi as he goes for another Volt Switch, so that's fine. As he goes out into his Lucario, because once again he doesn't have much for this Jirachi. So I decided I'm just going to sack my Landorus. I can't take two close combats if he's not Life Orb because he did show he has Balloon, and I can threaten this thing with Hammer Arm, but I decide, you know what? He's not gonna risk his Lucario already. I'm just gonna go for Stone Edge, potentially catch his Zapdos or his Uxie, as I'm gonna be able to 2-hit KO this Uxie now with the Stone Edge. So that's really nice for me. As next, now he's gonna go out in a Scolipede, and this is kind of a tricky play here. Stone Edge obviously kills him, but I don't want to risk the miss here. And he could go for substitutes. Like, he can just like sub spam until I miss, and that could potentially cost me the game. So I decided, you know what, I'm just gonna go for Earthquake, and I do think that I did make the best play. I mean, once again, it's still very scary because now his Scolpede's at +2, and Stone Edge potentially could have just knocked it out. But my reasoning was, this is kind of like the name of the game here, or this is probably the breaking point, kind of. This is one of the two more important turns. So right now I can revenge him with Aqua Jet right now with my Azumarill, and if he's cuts that berry, he loses it right now. So if he kills me off, I can go out into my Azumarill and I can pick him off with an Aqua Jet. But if he were to Baton Pass here, my best play right now is just a Hammer Arm, because Hammer Arm hits his Lucario, hits his Zapdos is at 40%, and it also has to take rocks, so that gets knocked out, and it also knocks out his Blastoise here. So if he knocks me out, then I just go out into my Azumarill, and if he doesn't knock me out, I'm just going to go for a Hammer Arm. So he decides that he's just going to go for an Aqua Jet, knock me out, that's fine, and now I can go out into my Azumarill, as I said, threaten this thing out with the Aqua Jet here. As he's gonna sack off his Zapdos, so that's really good for me. And I get the static. It's not gonna matter too much. And it's a roll to 2 KO. The Blastoise. Showdown rounds down, or rounds up, I mean. So he's at like 12%. I just did 12%, so I don't know. It's a potential roll. So he's gonna spin as I get paralyzed, and I don't know. That kind of stinks. But anyways, yeah, I'm just gonna go out into my Jirachi as I'm just gonna fire off a Psychic to knock out the Blastoise as he goes out into Lucario. So my best play here is to Wish. I go for the Wish here instead of going for a double Psychic for a couple reasons. One, I don't know his full coverage on Scolpede. He's shown that he has Sword Stance, and he's shown that he has Aqua Tail. So I'm figuring he needs Poison Jab for the Azumarill. And he's probably gonna have like Aqua Jet, or what is it? Aqua Tail, Poison Jab. But anyways, I wasn't 100% sure what his coverage would be on Scolpede. But just in case he had the Earthquake, I want to try to play around that, as I think my Dragalge at 71% and then it takes rocks. I'm pretty sure it dies to the Earthquake, but maybe. But if I Wish up and then go out into my Scarf Dragalge, then I definitely can live an Earthquake and then knock him out with pretty much any move. So I go for a Wish here as he goes for a close combat. So my thought process here is like, I can go for a Psychic, and what this does is Psychic, does like a hefty chunk. It doesn't kill him, but it does like pretty much like 60-70%, and then I can go out into my Scarf Dragalge, fire off a Draco, knock him out, and then he goes out into the Scolpede, as I would be at 100%, and I could live an Earthquake, and then I can knock out the Scolpede with the Draco and win the game. Or I can just double Psychic here on his potential Sword Stance play as well. So I go for a Psychic. He goes out into his Scolpede, predicting me to Protect. Protect would have been a choke, as we knock out the Scolpede on the switch in. He goes back out into Lucario. I just fire off a Psychic as he goes for a close combat, lowers his defenses, and we knock him out with the next Psychic, and we take him out. So we're in the CPC finals, and spoilers, we're actually going to be facing Abe. Abe was able to knock out Gypsy King, and Paul was able to knock out Matty Brawlick, but then Abe beat Paul, and now I'm going to be facing Abe. So I'll probably upload that match here in the next couple days, if not today/tomorrow. But I hope you guys enjoyed, and this was a fun one. Very, very competitive match. So until next time, I'm signing out. Peace.